Errol, why are you running for CTU president right now?
That's an easy answer. I'm running so that everyone gets great representation.
What are the top 3 priorities you would tackle in your first 90 days?
I think what we have to tackle, number one, is building brighter futures because the district just doesn't have what it takes to do this on their own. Then I think we have to go into the enforcement of our contract. We have a decent contract, but we've got to work on the enforcement and equity aspects of that contract. And then lastly, and this is going to take more than 90 days, but it's time to modernize that CTU Constitution.
A major criticism of current union leadership is that they're not forceful in contract implementation. What would you do differently?
Well, I think those of us that are actually in the school buildings living under the contract would definitely make sure it's enforced. And I think that's the difference between the people running with me and those people who are currently at the Halley building. They're not in the buildings. We've got all kinds of options, everything from the grievance all the way to a strike action. And there's so much in the middle that we've ignored for years. I think enforcing the contract boils down to people working in the buildings, knowing what needs to happen.
How would you show up differently at board meetings and public fights?
Well, I always show up to board meetings and I show up to the public as well. And I often use the media to do that. And I want to continue to be able to do that, not be told that I can't speak to the media. I think involving the public is where we win, like they did in Chicago, like they did in San Francisco. We have to be engaged with the public, part of the community, not seen as some isolated entity that only shows up when we want a levy to pass.
The district claimed financial crisis, yet executive received huge raises. How do you respond to members who feel educators were told to settle while downtown cashed in?
I would tell those educators they're correct. I would tell those educators that's not something they're feeling. That's something that happened. This happened as far back as 2016. I noticed this at a Board of Education meeting where they didn't call them raises. They called them salary band adjustments. And that contract we settled for 2.5%, 2.25% raises, and administrators received anywhere from 8 to 15%. We knew this was coming again. I was again at this board meeting alone when they called these salary band adjustments, trying to say they weren't raises. Specifically, the CTU negotiating team failed.
You're on the executive board right now, so if a change is needed, doesn't that mean you're needing to change as well?
Yeah, I need to change my position to president. Mark Steinbrenner, Chris Malinowski, and I were all elected to the executive board, and we've all been told by this current president, if we want to speak to her, we need to make an appointment to go through her secretary. If I could say one thing to a classroom teacher that feels unheard right now, I'd say call me. I have time to talk to you. My number's 216-410-0421. I'm going to listen to what you have to say. I'm not going to pawn you off on a chapter chair or tell you to call somebody else. I'm going to do everything I can to listen to what you're saying, give you a response, and make it happen.